Hi everyone, David here. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for coming back for another video, or welcome if it's your first one. How are you doing? I'm doing okay. I think it's getting a bit cold. It's December now. It's nights are drawing in. It's getting a bit chilly as well. And I'm starting to think about the new year and finishing off all my loose ends. This year was a big finishing year because I managed to finish visiting all 47 Japanese prefectures. That was a bit of a personal mission I set for myself. I like that kind of completist type task. Maybe it's because I used to play Pokemon when I was a kid. Just got to catch them all. So today I'm going to dedicate that to my travels in Japan. I'm going to take you through all 47 prefectures. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. I did a video a bit like this last year, I think. I introduced each prefecture and something famous about each one. And when I went to all these prefectures, I'd had this idea. I wanted to make a photo album for myself to see where I've been and kind of keep a memory of places I've been to in each prefecture, and more like a catalogue slash photo album. But making that, I selected all these photos, so I thought I would show one from each prefecture to you. These photos aren't supposed to be recommendations where to go necessarily. It's more photos that sort of meant something to me in my travels. Either it was just a nice scene and it reminds me of a particular trip I took there, or I just feel like it's a nice picture, or if it represents something about my journey. That sounds a bit grand, but you know what I mean. But anyway, you'll get the idea as I go along. These are not supposed to be like a travel recommendation guide or anything like that. I'm going to do that. I've been doing that constantly about Osaka for the last 2.5 years, so please watch those if you're interested. I've got so many that need a bit more love. So let me just get straight into these prefectures. I've listed them in order of the time I first arrived there. So I've had to go through the archives to work out when exactly, from the first time I visited Japan all the way to this summer when I finished the set. I counted them if I had some kind of experience or memorable activity there. So just passing through, driving through, that doesn't count. I think you'll see what I mean as I explain myself later. So let's just get straight into it. I'm gonna get this presentation going. Let's move myself into the little corner. I think I'm there already. Let's start with my first prefecture, which was Tokyo. My first holiday in Japan in 2007. That's incredible now. That's, what's that, 16, 17 years ago? I can't work out those maths. Yeah, I stayed in Tokyo, so that was my first stop. This is a beautiful picture I took. I'm just bragging, but it just turned out really nicely, of Tokyo Tower, which I think is one of the most iconic visions of Tokyo. I really like it, a lot more than the Sky Tree. Actually, I took this photo when the Olympics were being held, or towards the end of it. I just wanted to be there to soak up some of the Olympic vibe, but it was very rainy a few days. But I got this nice sort of cloudy Tokyo Tower view. So I've got a lot of experiences in Tokyo, but that's the one that comes to mind. Now, during the same holiday, I took a bus tour to Mount Fuji. So there we go, pictured there. That's the first and probably the best picture I've ever taken of Mount Fuji. It always seems to be wrong kind of cloud, or it's foggy, or it's obscured somehow. This took me to Yamanashi Prefecture, where I took a little boat cruise as well on Lake Ashi. I think that's the name of the lake. And yeah, saw Mount Fuji. We drove up to the 5th station as well. Yamanashi, I did go back there again. We stayed at a ryokan at some point in 2015, something like that. So that was a nice memorable trip to Yamanashi. The same trip I went to Kamakura, which is in Kanagawa, it's written right there. Kanagawa Prefecture. Also famous for Yokohama, which I didn't go to until a little bit later, but the famous Daibutsu at Kotokuin. This is the famous image of Kamakura. You can go inside there as well. That's a nice memory too. Number 4, I managed to get to Kyoto. I got totally lost, if I remember correctly. Of course, I've been to Kyoto many times since then. But this is a picture I took, I think, last year or the year before, just at sunrise. I wanted to see the autumn leaves early, so I went to Kiyomizu Temple. You can see that kind of lens flare. I was trying to be arty, but Of course, Kyoto City is the land of shrines and temples, so that's kind of emblematic of it. Next, I actually came back for another trip in 2009, but I went to all the same prefectures again. In 2012, I went back for a third vacation and went to Nara, this time using my Japan Rail Pass, including Kasuga Taisha. That's hard to say. Kasuga Taisha, which is a shrine quite close to Todaiji in Nara Park, so you can see the deer wandering around there. I was there on a beautiful clear day. I think this was in the middle of coronavirus, I think, so it was quite empty. Kasuga Taisha, very nice for the wisteria flowers as well in June. They're lovely purple flowers. So I love Nara. Same trip, I went to Nikko, up north from Tokyo, to a beautiful mountain city called Nikko. There is a famous Toshogu, which is like a mausoleum. I forgot whose one it is. My history is a bit hazy when it comes to Japanese names, but I always like this kind of ceremonial traditional style bridge. You can't actually walk over it, I don't think, but can you? I think it was blocked off, but it was a nice view and a nice valley, so yeah, I enjoyed Nikko. I really want to go there again next time. That same trip, I actually went to meet my Japanese teacher's family, who very kindly showed me around Nagoya. This was taken a few years later when I went back for the cherry blossoms. Beautiful cherry blossoms in Nagoya. I think Nagoya kind of gets a bit of a rough deal because it's very central, but that means it's kind of far away from other main cities. It's kind of in between Tokyo and Kansai area. So it's a little bit far to go sometimes, but yeah, definitely go to Aichi. You can see the Ghibli Museum as well. Made a video about those. Made 2 videos about that, I think. And then finally we get to the time when I moved to Japan, April 2014, almost 10 years. I visited Osaka for the first time with a moving ban. So I moved into Osaka and haven't moved anywhere else since then. I was trying to think of what picture to show Osaka off with. I think Shinsekai is a very Osaka area. We've got Sutenkaku in the back there. Yeah, I love Osaka. This is the whole reason for this channel. So if you want to know more about Osaka, please like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm about ready to do my best 50 videos in best 50 places in Osaka very soon, so please check that out. I thought instead of having another castle straight after Nagoya Castle, I thought yeah, Sutenkaku is kind of a classic Osaka image, I think. So 9th, we get to Hyogo. I was starting to spread my tentacles out from from Osaka to the neighbouring prefectures. So Hyogo is the next one along. This is where Kobe is, but also Himeji. Himeji Castle just got renewed, kind of renovated. I can't say recently, but it's probably still about 8 years ago. Beautiful white castle. It's kind of unusual style, really. Usually castles are kind of green, sometimes black, but this is a beautiful white castle. I think it's called the Crane Castle because of the colour of it. But yeah, Himeji is a lovely place to visit. 10th, I made it to double figures in Wakayama. Wakayama is just south of Osaka, and one of my favourite places there is Koyasan. Koyasan is a mountain town with a lot of temples and I think Japan's largest or oldest graveyard as well, which sounds a bit grim, but it's a very kind of restful, beautiful place, and some other famous Buddhist temples too. I think one of the sects of Buddhism is based in Koyasan. I went there last year or the year before and I took a video walking in the snow. This is the same day. I went to Kongobuji, one of the temples there. Really nice, peaceful place to walk around. You don't get a lot of snow in Osaka too, so it was nice to see that. Okay, number 11, Fukuoka. This is the furthest west I had been. I actually went there for a Perfume concert in August 2014. But this photo was taken last year when I returned to kind of really do Fukuoka properly. This was Itojima. This is a nice sightseeing spot, but there's a lot of nice places. I did a whole video about Fukuoka as well, so yeah, check that out too. I'm not going to do thumbnails for everything, I'm going to be exhausted. There we go, so that's my first trip to Kyushu. Also, west of Osaka, we've got Hiroshima. I visited there with my friends in summer and visited Itsukushima Shrine on Miyajima. This is not far from Hiroshima City. Of course, Hiroshima City has a lot of deep and dark history, but a very interesting place to visit. And one of the three famous sites of the three famous views of Japan is Utsukushima Shrine, the Torii Gate on the sea. I think I got really lucky with the timing on this one. I've just got the beautiful day and no scaffolding covering it like I did last time, and the tide was in as well. When the tide's out, you can actually walk up to that gate too. You can see all the barnacles stuck all over it. And that's first New Year in Japan. I went to Mie Prefecture, again next to, well, not neighbouring Osaka, it's the other side of Nara. I went to Ise Shrine, one of the most famous shrines in the whole country, and silly me went there during the busiest time possible, which is the Hatsumode time. So at the start of New Year, people visit famous shrines to pay their first respects of the year, and this is the time I decided to go to Ise. But yeah, that's a beautiful city to go to, a huge shrine kind of in the forest. It's so huge, it's in two sections as well. So go to Mie. In the summer, I guess I spent a lot of time just wandering around in 2015, but I went to Shiga for the first time. I went to Hikone Castle. I feel like I went here the first time in New Year, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Hikone Castle is one of the few original castles left in Japan. I think there's only about 12 left. Most of them are reconstructions. For example, Osaka Castle, Nagoya Castle, they're all reconstructions. But Hikone is the real deal. Shiga is also home to Lake Biwa as well, the biggest lake in Japan. So a nice kind of peaceful rural place. My first trip to Shikoku happened at the end of 2015. I went to Tokushima, which is the closest one to Osaka. And this natural view was at the Oboke and Koboke gorges, tongue twister. Yeah, very nice rural mountainous place. There's the Yoshino River goes through it as well, which is very famous for being very clean. There's a vine bridge you can cross over as well. So Tokushima has a few interesting natural spots too. They've got whirlpools next to Nanoto Suspension Bridge. There's a really good art museum there too. 2016, my next year, moved on to Shizuoka. I did a bit of a double trip here to Shizuoka and stayed in Yamanashi, but Shizuoka I saw Shiraito Falls, beautiful waterfall, kind of panoramic area. Very nice. Managed to catch a rainbow too. Lovely. And you can see Mount Fuji very clearly from Shizuoka too. Mount Fuji is kind of on the border of Yamanashi and Shizuoka. Then, okay, went to the biggest one of all, Hokkaido, in February 2016. I think I've been there 4 times now. The first 3 times I went to Sapporo and saw the Snow Festival, which takes place in February, which is when this trip was. But this summer I also went there to see Hakodate, and another one of the famous night views of Japan. There's 3 famous night views as well, in addition to the 3 famous views. Where are they? There's Mount Hakodate, there's Rokko Mountain in Hyogo Prefecture, and there's one more which I'll tell you soon. But Hakodate, very beautiful kind of coastal city, and has a long history of foreign culture, foreign influence. So you can see my video about that as well, about Hakodate and Aomori. Next, going back to Shikoku, I went to Kagawa. My first trip to Kagawa was actually to an island off the coast of Kagawa. It's called Aoshima, which has a lot of unusual art displays, and it's got a small James Bond museum as well. But one of those, if you've ever seen an Instagram picture of one of those big spotty pumpkins, it's a sculpture, then that's from Aoshima. But I went to Kagawa again, I think 2 years ago, and visited Takamatsu. Really beautiful place, had a really nice time in Takamatsu, and there's this beautiful Japanese garden, Ritsurin Koen, famous for its black pine trees as well, Kuromatsu, which I really like as well, so that suits me. And beautiful udon as well, very delicious udon noodles. Number 19, we've got to Miyagi Prefecture. This is on the east coast. This was where the devastating earthquake happened in 2011. And although I want to celebrate Miyagi Prefecture, this photo always kind of stood out to me. I took a trip with my friend who was living in Akita at the time. We met in Sendai and we went to the kind of coastal region. So you can see how the tsunami swept all the trees to one side. This is a kaigan kind of, well, kaigan just means beach, but it was like an evacuation park for the tsunami. Obviously it wasn't kind of high enough for the particular huge tsunami that happened then. But it was 5 years later, and kind of hopeful signs of regrowth, because the nature is coming back, but also there's an abandoned high school, had a big sign saying thank you for all the support. So you could start to feel things rebuilding a bit. So that was actually a positive feeling to go there. Sendai also famous for one of the three big, I don't know, Japan loves big three things, summer festivals of Tohoku area, so which is Tanabata, that happens in August. That's not the usual Tanabata time, which is the 7th of July. This happens in early August, and it's from using an old calendar. So check out the Tanabata at Sendai. Number 20, we reached Yamaguchi Prefecture. Actually, I was visiting my friend in Hiroshima, and we took a quick trip over the border to Yamaguchi to see Kintaikyo, the very distinctive bridge. Yeah, lovely bridge. Yamaguchi I went back to last year. Was it this year? Last year? I can't remember now. When I went to see Yuda Onsen. So I did a video about that too, so check that out. I went underground to the biggest limestone caves in Japan. That's also in Yamaguchi. Akiyoshido, I think it's called. Okay, 21, got to the north coast, to the Sanin area, which is the kind of north coast of the west part of Japan. So we went to Tottori, which is famous for its sand dunes. A bit of an odd place to have sand dunes in Japan, and right by the sea as well. So the sand is just piled up, and they've even got camels there. You can get a camel ride. So this was the shot I took. You can just see the sea peeping out over there. We parked on the wrong side of the sand dunes and we had a bit of a walk, but it's a nice memory anyway. And I also visited Shimane. I think I went to the sand dunes of Tottori on a different trip. So this trip I went to Tottori and Shimane. Saw the beautiful Adachi Museum of Art. It's got a lovely Japanese garden too. You can't walk around in it, but you can see it from the museum. It's also got Matsue Castle, that's a nice place to go, and Izumo Shrine, which is a famous shrine. I hope to visit that again one day because it was terrible weather last time I visited. So that's Shimane. Going central now, we went to Gifu. My first trip in 2017 was to Hakusan, which is an area around like the mountains, and there's a big ski resort there too. We actually stayed at the ski resort but didn't ski. We just wanted to see the like winter atmosphere, and that was really nice too. But it's also home to, among other things, Shirakawa-go, one of the very famous touristy traditional villages. You can see just about these triangular cottages made in the traditional Japanese style. They've been preserved. I think they're a UNESCO World Heritage tangible asset or something like that, one of those UNESCO things. Definitely try that out. I went there at the very start of December, so if you want to see it with the snow scene, which is also famous, go a little bit later, maybe in the first few months of the year, it's better. But Gifu, yeah, there's a lot of places to see in Gifu. Ishikawa came after that at the end of 2017. We visited Kanazawa, which is a beautiful town. It used to be a very big town as well. I think a lot of people got evacuated there during the war, so that kind of helped boost its popularity. But now it's quite a modern feeling place to visit for tourists. It's got traditional Kanazawa Castle ruins, I think they are. Kenroku-en, one of the big three Japanese gardens too. There's Kenroku-en in Kanazawa. There is another one in Okayama and one in Ibaraki, I believe. But Kenroku-en is definitely the most beautiful one, if you ask me. And you can see, because the snow gets very heavy, that weighs down on the pine trees and breaks their branches. So they've got these very distinctive rope, like maypoles, that's supporting the branches so the snow doesn't break all the trees. It also has the 21st Century Museum as well, so you can see the modern side of Kanazawa too. Okay, I was talking about night views before. This is the other of the three. So I said Hakodate and Rokko in Kobe, and now Mount Inasa in Nagasaki. I went there on a full moon as well. This is a really beautiful night view. I think this might be my favourite of the three. Nagasaki is an amazing place to stay. I just stayed in Nagasaki City, but there's so much to do there. Also has a lot of foreign influence too, so there's a lot of mix of cultures. There's a big Chinatown. There's the kind of very unique Gunkanjima, which is abandoned coal mining islands, which was a very dense colony. I think one of the most densely populated places in the world, or in Japan. It's all closed down now, but you can still visit there by boat. Yeah, Nagasaki's got loads of things to see, so if you want to plan a 2-day trip, definitely take a look at Nagasaki. Next, Saga. I think this was part of the same trip as well. I was doing one of my little tours. I started from Nagasaki and moved up to Saga, where my friend was. We took a boat from, I can't remember what the place was called. We took a boat to these famous Nanatsugama caves, which means just seven seaside caves. They're kind of very unusual. They've got this strange volcanic rock as well. Kind of reminds me of the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland in the UK. You can visit those by quite a short boat trip from Yobuko, something like that. I've put Karatsu here, but that's like a nearby town. So that's Saga. And continue my trip through Kyushu to Oita, famous for its hot springs in Beppu, or Yufuin. That's also a famous hot spring place. I didn't actually take a hot spring when I went to Beppu, which is a bit of a shame, but oh no, I did take like a mud bath, which was not as nice as it sounded. It was quite cold and just felt really grotty and horrid. But Beppu, you can try the Jigoku Meguri, the Hell Tour. It's kind of fearful name, but there's 7 different hot springs with different characteristics. This one's like a giant hot pot. There's like a water spout one. There's one that's filled with crocodiles for some reason. Don't ask me, but yeah, go there for your hot spring needs. Then I returned to the Hokuriku area, which is kind of the north part of the middle of Japan. Fukui prefecture with Tojinbo. I was just talking about those caves in Saga, but these also have a kind of unusual rock structure. These are distinctive cliffs by the sea. Although people keep telling me they're famous for people jumping off and killing themselves, but fortunately I didn't see any of that. Fukui is a very nice, quiet, rural place, now accessible by the Hokuriku Shinkansen, or will be very soon. There's an amazing dinosaur museum there, which I thought would just be kind of normal, but it really impressed me. And Eiheiji, I think that's the big shrine as well. That's got a huge Buddha repository as well, so come to Fukui. Back to Shikoku now. We went to Ehime to Dogo Onsen in Matsuyama City. Dogo Onsen is another one of the famous onsen towns in Japan. There's quite a few of those. But this one is supposedly famous for inspiring the bathhouse exterior from Spirited Away by Studio Ghibli. I can kind of see that, I guess. But yeah, nice place to visit. Very traditional hot spring. We stayed at a nice ryokan, Japanese inn. So that's a really nice memory for me. Okay, now back up north to Tohoku. I went to Akita and I saw the third, no, this is only the second of the Tohoku summer festivals. This is the Akita Kanto Festival, where people hold these giant, I think they're bamboo or these giant lantern poles. So Kanto is these big poles in their hand, carrying all these lanterns as well. I think one of them can weigh about 50 kilograms, and then one person's balancing it on their hand, sometimes on their head, sometimes on their shoulder, sometimes on the small of their back. Very interesting, and it's a bit of a contest to see who can do the most kind of interesting moves with their lanterns. So that's a really unique festival. I think that could be one of my favourite festivals I've ever seen in Japan. Akita's a bit of a long way to go, but it was worth it, definitely. And just to get the full house on Shikoku, I went back to Kochi Prefecture where my friend is living. I think he's still there. I had a very rainy day after a very long trip. I think it was just after a typhoon had passed. But this is the day I was going back. I went to Kochi Castle. If you've ever seen the movie Ocean Waves, another Studio Ghibli one, that was set in Kochi. It's quite a large prefecture, so I think there's more treasures that I need to unearth. So I might go back there again soon, visit my friend. Okay, up to 32, I decided to try and finish off the Kyushu prefectures. So I did another little combo tour. Went to Miyazaki first. This is on the east coast of Kyushu. This is Udo Shrine. This is kind of unusual. It's built inside a cave, so people will go down there. This was New Year as well, so there's a lot of people coming for Hatsumode, the first shrine visit. Yeah, nice place to visit. There's no kind of huge places to go in Miyazaki, but there are a lot of kind of unique tourist attractions. There's a kind of tidal island you can visit, which has got very interesting rock formations. If you're into rock formations, I guess I am. That's called Aoshima, I think. And there's some Easter Island heads for some reason as well, so it's full of surprises in Miyazaki. I want to go back there again one day to see Takachiho, which is kind of a gorge with waterfalls either side. Yeah, one day I'll go back there. And carrying along to the southern tip of Kyushu was Kagoshima. And then from the city you can see Sakurajima, which is the most active volcano in Japan. It has erupted several times. It's even grown a bit. It used to be an island, and now it's kind of joined on to the mainland. So it's not technically an island anymore. You can take a boat there. They've got a nice aquarium. They've got a nice traditional Japanese garden, which you can see Sakurajima in the background. And yeah, you can take a trip around Sakurajima, which is also famous for growing these huge vegetables as well. So yeah, interesting if you don't mind a bit of danger. And then completing the Kyushu Islands, I went to Kumamoto, famous for Kumamon, if you've seen that mascot before, kind of black and white bear. And you can take a trip to the Mount Aso National Park, which is another I think active volcano, but it's not as active as Sakurajima. It's huge though. You see the park and it's a very kind of wide, like flatland, but you realize there's this very tall cliffs on either side. You can't even see one side from the other side. It's so huge, and you realize all of this is a volcanic crater. That's a bit chilling. You can take a bus trip all the way to the top of the crater as well. They did have an eruption. I think there was an earthquake in 2016 or something like that. So now some of it's out of action, but you can go up there, and depending on how gassy it's feeling that day, you can even go down into the crater a little bit. I couldn't go in because too much gas, but I could kind of peer in. So if you're into volcanoes, try Kumamoto. Now, at this point, I was starting to realise I'd been to a lot of prefectures. I think around the 30 mark, I realised, without intentionally trying to clear them all, I thought, oh, hang on, maybe I could do them all. So you can start to see my combo trips popping up now. So one of these was to Toyama, which is another fairly rural prefecture on the kind of top of the Hokuriku area. And it's home to the beautiful Tateyama Kurobe Alpine route, which is a route between Toyama City and part of Nagano. I don't know which city exactly. But you can see it's beautiful mountain range at the top. This is the Japanese Alps. You can see Tateyama, which had some snow. I think that's snow on the floor there. This was in August, and August gets very hot in Japan, but it's cool enough there to keep a bit of snow. Yeah, beautiful views. You can see Kurobe Dam as well, which is a huge dam. Yeah, it's a nice area too. You can go on a boat around that valley and go all the way over the other side by various types of trains, cable cars and tunnels to Nagano Prefecture, which is where I ended up. I visited Matsumoto Castle. This is another famous castle. It's again unusual for its black colour. It's kind of very distinctive. There was a huge line to get in. I didn't have a good time in Nagano actually because it was so hot and we had to wait outside for such a long time. I felt like I was gonna, I don't know, get heat stroke or something, but yeah, I lived to tell the tale. Yeah, I want to go back to Nagano one day. Maybe if I visit Tokyo again sometime soon, I can go to Karuizawa, which is another famous resort place there. Looks like a very beautiful place. 37, Okinawa, the very southernmost, easternmost, westernmost, sorry, prefecture. Okinawa is an island chain south of Kagoshima. Mostly famous for its beaches, beautiful sea, and kind of resort islands too. And also its famous aquarium. This, I don't know, I really like this picture of the whale sharks there. It's a huge aquarium. I think it's got one of the biggest single tanks in Japan, possibly anywhere, or it's at one point it was one of the biggest ones. So yeah, Chirorumi Aquarium, really nice place to visit, especially if it's too hot. They've got some huge limestone caves as well in the main Okinawa island too. After that I was tidying up the prefectures. I did another combo trip. This time I went to Iwate prefecture. It was a little bit hard to find somewhere easy to visit in Iwate. I'm sure there's a lot of interesting things there. But maybe the most famous one is Chusonji, which is, you can see there it's in the city of Hiraizumi. There's a famous golden pavilion inside that building. I couldn't take any pictures inside there, so unfortunately you have to make do with the outside, but there's something quite nice about going to these mountainous foresty areas, so I enjoyed my walk around there, even if the weather was pretty awful. I continued that trip to Yamagata. Yamagata prefecture is famous for Yamadera, which is a mountainous shrine area, so you're hiking up and seeing all these shrines all the way up. Unfortunately it was closed at that time because it's the middle of winter. It was snowing a lot as well, but there were lovely views from the top to see the rest of the valley. So Yamagata city was quite nice as well. I stayed there overnight, and there's a few nice historical places to visit there. And then on the way back, going back to the airport, I went to Niigata. I didn't have a very good time in Niigata the first time I went there, but this year I returned and I made another video about that in about February, March time. I decided to go to Sarogashima, which is the kind of lightning bolt shaped island just to the north of the prefecture. They've got a gold mine there, that's a famous point, and this, well, because the gold mine's quite close, they have these processing plants too. They process the ore. So this is the Kitazawa flotation plant. It's all grown over and shut down now I think in the 90s. It's starting to be reclaimed by nature and had a very kind of Ghibli-esque Laputa vibe about it, so I enjoyed that. So yeah, check out Niigata if you have a chance. On to the last 7 now. So Gunma, I decided to make a big Kanto trip because I'd only really been to Tokyo, around there. So there's a lot of prefectures around Tokyo I hadn't been to. So Gunma was the first to visit, and Kusatsu Onsen. This is one of the other big famous onsen towns in Japan. So beautiful, smelly, but lovely open air hot springs. This is just in the town square. You can see it all open there, but there's a lot of open air baths as well you can visit. So yeah, very charming little town. Next on the list was Fukushima. Probably you've heard of this prefecture because of the nuclear meltdown that happened in 2011 because of the earthquake. But it's a big prefecture. There's only quite a small area that's been cordoned off, so don't worry, it's safe to visit there. I took a day trip to Oichijuku, which is another traditional style village. You can see the path down the middle of there. Again, we've got these traditional thatched roof village cottages. I think this dates back to the Edo period, which is about 200 years, something like that. So yeah, nice, beautiful rural place. Taxi driver was really chatty as well. Really enjoyed that. Also on this trip I went to Chiba prefecture. My friend drove me down to Tateyama, right at the southern tip of Chiba, and got this nice view of the bay. Tateyama doesn't really have that much to do off season. This was, I think it was around the typhoon time, so it was a bit rainy and horrible. but I think it's quite a busy resort place. The surfing takes place there, so a lot of surfers on the beach. So Chiba, also famous for Tokyo Disney, but I've never been there yet. That's in Chiba. Ibaraki, this was a bit of a tricky one. Without a car, it was difficult to go to the other recommended spots, but I visited there to Mito, which is home to another one of the 3 big Japanese gardens. Like I said, one of them is in Kanazawa, one of them in Okayama, and this one in Mito. Again, I kind of went a bit off season, so it wasn't really the best place to go at that in middle of August. But I did see this very strange art museum in Mito town centre. Mito is the prefectural capital. I don't know what's going on here. They're supporting this rock in an art display. Looks like they're summoning Goza or something from Ghostbusters. Yeah, so go to Ibaraki. You might want to take a car though if you can. There's I think there's a giant cannon statue. There's a flower park as well, I think. So it would be nice to explore that again one day. Now the last one of my Kanto trip was Saitama. It's kind of like a commuter belt place, so a lot of people live there to travel to Tokyo. It's on the main train lines. But one of my friends lives there, so I went to visit Kawagoe, which is considered a little Kyoto. It's got this traditional shopping street. It's very kind of oldie worldy. It was a little bit of a shame because there's a main road going right through it, so it's hard to get a nice historical vibe. But yeah, it's a nice place to walk around. There's a nice shrine there too. So yeah, check out Saitama. I want to go there again one day, see if I can explore a bit more. 46, I definitely passed through Okayama before, but this was the first time I'd really visited there. I went to Kurashiki, I think 2 years ago, using one of the Saikuro Kippu campaigns. Kurashiki, very charming little traditional town. They're famous for the canal, and you can take a little boat ride down there. Although this canal is just as far as you can see in the picture, and then about the same around the corner as well. So it's not a very long canal, but very quaint, charming part of the town. I really want to go back to see Okayama Castle and the other Japanese garden, but that was closed due to COVID at that time and renovations. And that takes me to the final prefecture. Finally, we got there to Aomori. I saw the Aomori Nebuta Festival. Hopefully you've seen the video I posted in August or September. This is the 3rd of the Tohoku summer festivals. So this is celebrating Tanabata as well, I guess, and trying to get a good harvest. You can see this beautiful, huge paper lantern style carnival floats, and I think I've got a whole video. It's about an hour long. You can watch the whole parade if you want to. I hope somebody watches it because it was fun to watch, definitely. And that was my last prefecture. That took me from end to end. I was really happy to finish on Aomori because that was one of the festivals I've been really wanting to see for ages. I couldn't do it with my old job because of the scheduling, and then coronavirus happened, and finally I got my chance, and that was a kind of fitting grand finale to my trip all around Japan. So there we go, that's the whole list. Thank you for watching. I hope those are interesting. How many have you been to? If you've been to Japan already, or which ones do you want to go to? Please let me know in the comments. Please like this video. I really hope you appreciated this because I enjoyed making it. Share this video with your Japan loving friends who want to get inspiration where to go next time they visit Japan. And of course, share this channel. I would really like that. Did I just say share? Share it twice, and subscribe as well. That would really help me out. I'm really trying to build up this channel, and you can help me. So thank you for watching. Hope that didn't take too long, and I hope you come back for the next video. Take care. See you again. Bye.